òtítọ́ sọnù ọ̀rọ̀ la ó fi wà. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro níbi tí òtítọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pọ́nbélé ti ń jáde wá. Fáàtì òkodoro ẹ máa gbọ́. Òwe lẹṣin ọ̀rọ̀, ọ̀rọ̀ lẹṣin òwe. Òtítọ́ sọnù ọ̀rọ̀ la ó fi wà. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro níbi tí òtítọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pọ́nbélé ti ń jáde wá. Fáàtì òkodoro ẹ máa gbọ́. Òwe lẹṣin ọ̀rọ̀, ọ̀rọ̀ lẹṣin òwe. Òtítọ́ sọnù ọ̀rọ̀ la ó fi wà. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro níbi tí òtítọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pọ́nbélé ti ń jáde wá. Fáàtì òkodoro ẹ máa gbọ́. Òwe lẹṣin ọ̀rọ̀, ọ̀rọ̀ lẹṣin òwe. Òtítọ́ sọnù ọ̀rọ̀ la ó fi wà. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro níbi tí òtítọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pọ́nbélé ti ń jáde wá. Fáàtì òkodoro. Sápọn láti fi ara rẹ̀ hàn níwájú òṣìṣẹ́ tí kò ní láti tijú, tí ó ń pín ọ̀rọ̀ òtítọ́ bí ó ti yẹ. Ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro ni ìkànnì tí a gbé kalẹ̀ láti yànnàná òkodoro ọ̀rọ̀ Bíbélì láì figbá kan bọ̀kan nínú. Fáàtì òkodoro, ìkànnì tí Olúwa gbé kalẹ̀ láti dáhùn ìbéèrè tí ó ń tawọ́tasẹ̀ nínú àwọn Mùsùlùmí nípa Bíbélì, Kristi Jésù olùgbàlà aráyé, àti láti ṣàfọ̀mọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tí a ti pamọ́, ìgbàgbọ́ ìgbàanì. Ètò fáàtì òkodoro pín sí ẹ̀ka oríṣiríṣi bíi ìbéèrè àti ìdáhùn, question and answer, ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, lecture, ìtakùrọ̀sọ ọlọ́rẹ̀ẹ́sọ̀rẹ́, dialogue, ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀, debate àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ẹ pàdé FSP, CMD, Bro Samad, Baby Code àti àwọn yòókù lórí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro. Ẹ lọ gbọ́ wa lórí ìkànnì wọ̀nyí: YouTube, Facebook, TikTok àti Instagram. Dáúnlóòdù áàpù fáàtì òkodoro sí orí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ rẹ láti orí Google Play Store. Ẹ lè pe nọ́mbà yìí 08027550001 08027550001. Fáàtì òkodoro, kàkà kí Elédùmarè tí a gbé fún òkodoro ọ̀rọ̀. Sápọn láti fi ara rẹ̀ hàn níwájú òṣìṣẹ́ tí kò ní láti tijú, tí ó ń pín ọ̀rọ̀ òtítọ́ bí ó ti yẹ. Ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro ni ìkànnì tí a gbé kalẹ̀ láti yànnàná òkodoro ọ̀rọ̀ Bíbélì láì figbá kan bọ̀kan nínú. Fáàtì òkodoro, ìkànnì tí Olúwa gbé kalẹ̀ láti dáhùn ìbéèrè tí ó ń tawọ́tasẹ̀ nínú àwọn Mùsùlùmí nípa Bíbélì, Kristi Jésù olùgbàlà aráyé, àti láti ṣàfọ̀mọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tí a ti pamọ́, ìgbàgbọ́ ìgbàanì. Ètò fáàtì òkodoro pín sí ẹ̀ka oríṣiríṣi bíi ìbéèrè àti ìdáhùn, question and answer, ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, lecture, ìtakùrọ̀sọ ọlọ́rẹ̀ẹ́sọ̀rẹ́, dialogue, ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀, debate àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ẹ pàdé FSP, CMD, Bro Samad, Baby Code àti àwọn yòókù lórí ìkànnì fáàtì òkodoro. Ẹ lọ gbọ́.
Ògo ni fọ́lọ́run lókè ọ̀run, àti ní ayé àlàáfíà. Ọlọ́run agbórúkọ láyé ga fún àṣálẹ́ yìí. Aláyọ̀ ayìnyín lógo fún pé ẹ̀yin ni Ọlọ́run lórí ayé wa, lórí ohun gbogbo tó mí àtohun tí kò mí, ohun tí ẹ ṣẹ̀dá pátápátá porongodo. Adúpẹ́ pé ẹ̀ka máwọn tó ṣì wà láàyè nínú àánú yín àti oore ọ̀fẹ́ yín. Ọlọ́run gba ọpẹ́ wa. Jẹ́ bí a ti wọnú ètò lọ lálẹ́, a fẹ́ kí ẹ gba ẹnu wa sọ̀rọ̀, a fẹ́ kí ẹ bá àwọn èèyàn wa sọ̀rọ̀, fẹ́ kí ẹ ṣí àwọn èèyàn níyè, fẹ́ kí ẹ tú àwọn èèyàn sílẹ̀, fẹ́ kí ẹ ṣí àwọn èèyàn lójú ẹ̀mí. Jésù ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ Olúwa. Ní ìkẹyìn, gbogbo ògo kó jẹ́ tìwọ Ọlọ́run. Kí ẹ̀ka alẹ́ sí ìkànnì, mo lérò pé ohùn mi ń jáde dáadáa. Yeah, God bless you. Bá a share program yìí, bá wa pín fọ́nrán pẹ̀lú àwọn ìkàlẹ̀. Oh, God bless you. Kí lẹ̀ rí lójú screen, ṣé ẹ̀ rí nǹkan kan? Mo ń orí system mo wà pẹ̀lú TikTok. Kí lè ṣe blank ní abẹ́ rí nǹkan kan? Mi mọ nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ kó show screen, but mi mọ nǹkan tó dé. It's a problem. Ó dẹ̀ dùn mí, mi mọ bí. Okay, lálẹ́ yìí arákùnrin TMD àwọn ni ó dá wa ní ẹ̀kọ́. A rí àwọn mùsùlùmí ní gbogbo bí tí wọ́n ti máa ń sọ fún pé ànábì mọ̀wé, ànábì ò mọ̀, òkè lóló. Adésọjí, God bless you. Wọ́n ló ń jalè lọ, Adébáyọ̀ blessing, God bless you. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe ilé bàtà wọlé, ẹ jẹ́ ká máa share pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa share pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn nínú TikTok ní bóyá Facebook nàbí YouTube, kí àwọn míì lè jẹ́ alábàápín. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa pín pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn. Lálẹ́ yìí arákùnrin TMD wọn ó gbàkóso. Kán tó gbàkóso, wọ́n fẹ́ sọ fún wa pé ètò yìí kò sí fún àwàdà, kò sí fún à ń fi ní ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́, kò sí pé à ń da orí ẹnikẹ́ni rú. Yeah, sorry. Hello? A ti wà live. Náà a ti wà live. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Ó dáa sà. So ètò yìí kò sí fún pé à ń yẹ̀yẹ́ ẹnikẹ́ni, à ń dójú tìyàn, à ń fèèyàn ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ rárá. Ó lè jọ bí àwàdà, ó lè jọ bí pàǹfì ní ṣe rárá, kì í ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ o. Òtítọ́ la gbé kalẹ̀ níbi, Ọlọ́run yóò sì ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Mo lérò pé ẹ ó gbádùn oore ọ̀fẹ́ Ọlọ́run nínú ayé arákùnrin TMD. Arákùnrin TMD, the floor is yours. God bless you. Ẹ má bínú mi kí ẹ̀yin èèyàn, ẹ má worry. Nítorí àkókò wa ní àkókò tó pọ̀. Go ahead sir, God bless you.
Yeah, ẹ kálẹ́ o FSP. Ṣé ń gbọ́ mi dáadáa? Ǹjẹ́ ẹ lè gbọ́ mi? Ok, ẹ kálẹ́ o FSP, ẹ dẹ̀ kálẹ́ ẹ̀yin ará ilé. A kú iṣẹ́ òní.
Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ dúró, TMD hold on. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà TikTok, ṣé ń gbọ́ wọn? Ṣé ń gbọ́ wọn TMD kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́? Mo fẹ́ confirm. Ẹ gbọ́ wọn àbí?
Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ wa báyìí? Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ wa báyìí?
Aláwọn ò gbọ́ yín.
Sàlámà lẹ́kùn o. Brapọ̀ kọ́ nìyẹn.
Brapọ̀ kọ́, brọ́lá ni. Bóyá kí n stop ẹ̀ lórí system, kí n join, kí n lo phone. System yẹn mi mọ nǹkan tó ṣe, ẹ jẹ́ kí n pa, ẹ jẹ́ kí n end ẹ̀ níbí. TMD hold on, ẹ jẹ́ kí n start lórí phone. Ṣé gbọ́ brọ́lá? Nígbà tẹ́ ẹ ti gbọ́ wọn yẹn kò ní. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n ṣe lórí phone mọ́. Àmọ́ máa ṣe yẹn lọ́jọ́ mi torí ọjọ́ ti lọ. Yeah. Let me end it. Like má bínú ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ti join wa padà. Yeah. TMD.
Ṣé kí n tẹ̀síwájú? Ok, ó dáa. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, a kí gbogbo àwọn tó wà nílé pátápátá ní lókè òkun ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa ń bí. Àwa tí Nàìjíríà wà pẹ̀lú wa lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́, a kú alẹ́. Àti àwọn tí wọn ò sí lórílẹ̀-èdè wa, ẹ káalẹ́ o, àbí ẹ káàsán, àbí ẹ káàárọ̀. A tún ti dé bí a ti ṣe máa ń dé, kí Ọlọ́run jọ kó gba gbogbo ògo. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí FSP sọ, ilé ìwé ń ṣe àwàdà, kì í dẹ̀ ṣe pé a fẹ́ fi èèyàn kankan láti tẹ ojú wọn mọ́lẹ̀. So ohun tí a fẹ́ sọ lálẹ́ yìí, ó ní ṣe pé kí a máa ń pè nǹkan ní standard islamic narrative, èyí tí a máa ń sọ, tí Yasaka sọ pé ó ní holes nínú. Irú àwọn holes yẹn náà ni a fẹ́ fi ìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ wípé mùsùlùmí ti ní holes nínú narrative wọn tipẹ́tipẹ́ tí a ò tètè mọ̀, torí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ò gbọ́ Lárúbáwá tàbí pé ká dig deep. So ohun tó dẹ̀ wá tó ṣe mí láǹfààní láti tún tẹ̀síwájú nínú àwọn irú nǹkan báyìí ó ní wípé Ọlọ́run ti fi ìbùkún fún wa pé íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì ti wà, and àwọn nǹkan kan wà tó yẹ pé à ń pè ní lexicon tí èèyàn lè lò láti wádìí àwọn ohun tí àwọn èdè yẹn jẹ́. Lárúbáwá jẹ́ èdè tí àwọn èèyàn ń sọ, tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń kà, tí wọ́n ń kọ sílẹ̀, tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń kà. So kò yẹ kó jẹ́ ohun tí àwọn gbé bàbàrà pé téèyàn kan ò bá mọ̀ ọ́n sọ ọ̀ tí ò bá mọ̀ ọ́n kà torí bẹ́ẹ̀ kò lè mọ nǹkan tí ó jẹ́. Àwọn tán pè ní expert tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n wọ́n ti break it down láti jẹ́ kí ó yé àwọn èèyàn ohun tí ìtumọ̀ rẹ̀ jẹ́. One of the tools tí mo ní tó ti ń help mi látijọ́ yìí òun náà ni lexicon. Orúkọ eléyìí tí mo like jù torí pé ó deal pẹ̀lú classical Arabic, ìyẹn Arabic tó fi kọ Quran wọ́n ń pè ní classical Arabic tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń sọ òun náà ń pè ní learn lexicon. And tí mi ò bá lè parí eléyìí lálẹ́ torí I have other things I want to do, lálẹ́ ọ̀la lágbára Ọlọ́run a máa tẹ̀síwájú lórí ẹ̀ torí a máa gbé àwọn oríṣiríṣi nǹkan yẹ̀ wò ṣùgbọ́n kó tó di pé a lè gbé level ibi tí a ti máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí gbé àwọn nǹkan yẹn yẹ̀ wò mo fẹ́ kí a gbé àwọn nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé ó máa fún wa ní background nǹkan tí ó jẹ́ a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí nípa tí Muhammad ó jẹ́ ẹni tí ó lè kọ kà ǹjẹ́ nǹkan tí text yẹn sọ ni wípé nǹkan tí Quran sọ ni wípé Muhammad kò lè kọ kò lè ka so gbogbo yẹn pátápátá àwọn ẹ̀rí tó so mọ́ pátápátá òun ni a máa gbé yẹ̀wò. So mo kàn mọ́mọ́ set background so that tá a bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ kò ní dàbí ẹni pé àti ẹ̀ tí máa rí àwọn verses Quran àti ẹ̀ tí máa rí tafsir gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá a máa tún di gbogbo pátápátá la máa di Arabic grammarian very soon. And tí n bá ṣe presentation yẹn tán if I have my way I will share with everybody the presentation so that you can also use it somewhere else if I'm done with it. Tí yóò bá tí n bá láǹfààní àti sọ pé bí mo ti parí gbogbo àwọn torí presentation mi parí o. So ẹ fún mi láǹfààní láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí ní orúkọ Ọlọ́run tí ó dá gbogbo ayé àti ọ̀run. So gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan àwọn mùsùlùmí máa ń sọ fún wa wípé Muhammad kò lè ka kò lè kọ kò lè kà. So ǹjẹ́ lóòótọ́ ni wípé Muhammad kò lè kọ kò lè kà ǹjẹ́ illiterate ni? So àwọn ìtàn tá a fẹ́ gbé yẹ̀wò ni so ẹ má bínú òyìnbó lè jáde lọ́pọ̀ ju èdè Yorùbá lọ ṣùgbọ́n màá máa fi rúra wọn. So bí mo ṣe sọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn scholars mùsùlùmí ni wọ́n máa ń sọ fún wa wípé Muhammad ò lè kọ kò lè kà. Ǹjẹ́ lóòótọ́ ni èyí? Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tí ẹ máa ń sọ wípé tí ò bá gba iléèwé kọjá kò ní education náà nìyẹn. Àwọn mùsùlùmí gbàgbé wípé education ò ní ṣe pé dandan èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ lọ iléèwé tàbí kó jókòó kán ní wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kọ. Ó lè jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tó gbọ́, ó lè jẹ́ ohun tí ó kà, ó dẹ̀ lè jẹ́ ohun tí wọ́n yán létí ẹ̀. So ọ̀nà tí èèyàn fi lè kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ọ̀ tí ó fi lè mọ nǹkan kan kò ní ṣe nígbà tó bá tó gbé ìjókòó. Ó lè jẹ́ nípa nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ fún ni wọ́n fi dá lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ló fi mọ nǹkan tí ó ń sọ lẹ́nu. Ṣùgbọ́n ní ọ̀rọ̀ ti Muhammad ọ̀rọ̀ tí mo tiẹ̀ sọ tán yìí pé bóyá èèyàn máa ń kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ní gbígbọ́ tí kì í ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ní kí gbé èèyàn sílẹ̀ láti sọ pé kéèyàn jókòó láti máa kọ́ èèyàn ní ẹ̀kọ́. So Muhammad ò sí ní kàtígórì nǹkan tí mo sọ yẹn. Evidence tí a ní lọ́wọ́ fi hàn wípé Muhammad lè kọ ó lè kà ó tún jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n. Mo lérò pé ẹ mọ nǹkan tó mo mean by ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n is someone who is elite ni is somebody who is enlightened, is a very enlightened person ni Muhammad jẹ́. So ẹ jẹ́ kí n tẹ̀síwájú nínú kíni ìdí tí àwọn mùsùlùmí fi máa ń sọ àwọn kíní yìí. Mo pè ní pé ìdí òun náà ni reason. Mo lọ sí next slide. Ìdí tí wọ́n fi máa ń sọ ni pé láti lè sọ wípé Quran pé ó wà unique, that is Quran is a revelation from Allah, unique. So òun ni wọ́n ṣe máa ń sọ wípé Muhammad lè kọ kò lè kà so that Allah bí ẹni pé ẹtẹ́ bá ti ń ṣe àtàkùrọ̀sọ pẹ̀lú mùsùlùmí ní Quran is the word of Allah, just to dispel idea wípé Muhammad ló kọ or àwọn èèyàn ni wọ́n ṣe agbátẹrù àkójọpọ̀ rẹ̀. So láti lè ṣe gbogbo láti lè dispel yẹn the next step máa sọ ni pé Quran is revelation from Allah kẹtẹ máa gbọ́ lẹ́nu wọn nìyẹn. Ìdí kejì ó ní wípé Muhammad never have idea of what was going on around him, therefore he cannot claim to be copy any book, to be copied. Or sorry, mo ṣe mistake. We cannot claim he copied any book or saying, or either written or orally in circulation at his time. So ohun tí mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé wọ́n nǹkan tán mọ́ mùsùlùmí máa sọ ni pé tó fi ń defend the reason ni pé tó fi máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan ni wípé wọ́n ní torí pé àwọn kán má lè sọ pé ó ti mọ ohun tí ó ń go on ní around ẹ̀ ní time ẹ̀, so fún ìdí èyí kò lè kọ́ kò lè kà, so kò ń ṣe pé bóyá ó copy information láti ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn kan ọ̀ bóyá wọ́n ní ó plagiarize, bá a ṣe máa sọ pé ó plagiarize àwọn sources kan aláwọn, and evidence tá a dẹ̀ ní lọ́wọ́ fi yé wa wípé àwọn ohun tí ó wà nínú Kùránì a lè tọpinpin wọn dé ibi tí wọ́n ti wá, so tó fi hàn pé kì í ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ Allah.
network tí ń sá lọ fún few seconds ó ti dé padà.
Ibo lẹ gbọ́ mi dé.
Ẹ tẹ̀síwájú.
Ok, so ohun máa tún ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn sọ. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ òun ni wípé ìdí tí wọ́n fi máa ń sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wípé wọ́n ní Kùránì jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ Allah tí ó yàtọ̀, so ìdí tí wọ́n fi máa ń sọ pé ó jẹ́ revelation láti ọ̀dọ̀ Allah ni wípé láti lè má jẹ́.
Ó sáde ó dàgbò ti dé padà.
Ṣé látọ̀dọ̀ mi ni àbí látọ̀dọ̀ yín?
Ọ̀dọ̀ yín ni o.
Ṣé mo lè tẹ̀síwájú báyìí?
Ẹ tẹ̀síwájú bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Reason number 2 lẹ́ ń sọ lọ́wọ́ àbí number 2 lẹ́wà.
Ok, so ẹ jẹ́ kí n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí number 2. Number 2 yẹn ni pé mo sọ wípé wọ́n máa ń sọ ìdí tí wọ́n máa ń sọ wọ́n ní Muhammad never have idea of what is going on around him, therefore we cannot claim he copy any book or saying either written or orally in circulation around him at his time. So nǹkan tó máa ń sọ nìyẹn pé ẹ lè sọ pé ó copy anything torí pé kí ni àwọn kò lóye nǹkan tó ń go on, ẹni tí ò lè dákà tí ò lè dákọ, so díàbà a lè sọ pé ó copy nǹkan. Ìkẹta òun ni wípé wọ́n máa ń sọ pé the crew won't be able to discredit the Quran as the miracle of Allah since he was unable to produce the Quran with his linguistic excellence. So wọ́n á nítorí pé kò lè dákà irú linguistic excellence yẹn kò lè wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ ẹni tí kò lè kọ tí kò lè kà, á jẹ́ wípé ó wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ nǹkan tí ẹni tó ní òye ọ̀ tó yàtọ̀ tó jẹ́ kó fi ṣẹ̀mọ̀. So ọgbọ́n àwọn ẹ̀rí tí àwọn mùsùlùmí máa ń gbé sílẹ̀ níwájú wa yìí kò tó nǹkan kan rárá. Mo lè mi gan lè sọ pé ok o èèyàn kan ló bá kọ́ jáde tó jẹ́ kó understand the linguistic Arabic dáadáa tó dẹ̀ understand because láyé ìgbà Muhammad bá ṣe máa rí láìpẹ́ òun ni wípé àwọn tí ó kàwé dáadáa tán máa ń kọ poem tán kọ poetry wọ́n pọ̀ ní ayé ìgbà Muhammad, a máa rí ẹ̀rí dáadáa láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà. So kò yan ò tó fún àwọn mùsùlùmí láti sọ wípé torí pé ìdí èyí o miracle of Allah ni. So a bá mú àwọn script tó wà láyé ìgbà Muhammad jáde bóyá poem bóyá bí olùkùwẹ́sì àbíkẹ́ tí ń pè chaos, òun náà tẹ́ bá ka poem ẹ̀ exactly ó tiẹ̀ ní rhyme bíi ti Quran ni. Èmi náà lè produce a verse tó dàbí Quran tó jẹ́ pé ó ní the same linguistic and style, èmi náà lè produce ẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ máa make sense tẹ́bọ̀ dẹ̀ máa kà tó dẹ̀ máa dún bí wọ́n ṣe máa ń kọ orin bíi Indian music.
Ẹ fún wa lálẹ́.
Ìjọba wa fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́jọ́ mi la máa fún yín. So ohun tí a wá ń sọ ní ìsìn ni wípé the way the Muslim present the Hijaz and its surrounding is that it hosts a bunch of dumb people, but the opposite is true. So ohun tí mo ń sọ ni wípé àwọn mùsùlùmí máa bọ́ ṣe present Arabia ní ayé ìgbà Muhammad ni pé àwọn tí wọ́n fọ́nú fọ́ta tí wọ́n amukumẹ́kọ tí wọ́n lè dá nǹkan kan ṣe tí wọ́n lè kà tí wọ́n lè kọ, ṣùgbọ́n opposite ẹ̀ ló true, ìdàkejì ni kò jẹ́ òótọ́ rárá. So ìdí àkọ́kọ́ tí mo kọ́ fi múlẹ̀ lálẹ́ yìí òun ni wípé Muhammad was a merchant. He was olùrà àti olùtà ni. Ó máa ń tàjà ó máa ń rajà ni, ó dẹ̀ máa ń dúnàdúrà káàkiri ní àwùjọ. So pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹ̀rí tí a máa gbé jáde láṣálẹ́ yìí we will be able to. So Muhammad, like many men of his days, was a merchant working for Khadija before his alleged prophethood. He was later became Khadija's husband. That is, Khadija became his wife. So Khadija was a wealthy woman and a successful businessman in Mecca, a businesswoman in Mecca. She managed a prosperous trade business. She sending caravan to various parts of the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. So despite her wealth and status, she required trustworthy individual to manage her trade and operation. So Khadija ti à ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ tó jẹ́ ìyàwó Muhammad tí Muhammad fẹ́. Kó tó di pé Muhammad fẹ́, ó jẹ́ ẹni tí ó ń ṣòwò tó dẹ̀ máa ń kó àwọn èèyàn oríṣiríṣi lọ sí ọ̀nà jíjìn láti lọ bá wọn rajà or kó lọ ta ọjà. So ó nílò ẹni tí ó jẹ́ olótìtọ́ láti lè bá manage business yẹn. So thereby he has a lot of people around him tó máa ń send lọ láti ṣe kíní. So a rí kà nínú gẹ́gẹ́ bí Ibn Ishaq ṣe sọ fún wa nínú biography of Muhammad, translated by Kulaim. So a rí kà pé when Khadija, the daughter of Kuwayil, who was a lady of dignity and wealthy, heard of the honesty and trustworthiness and noble character of Muhammad, she sent for him and proposed that he should take charge of her merchandise to Syria. She offered him more profit than other merchants because of the high esteem in which she held him due to his reputation. So kí la ń sọ níbí, tẹ́ bá wò mo bold the text yẹn pé that he should take charge of her merchandise to Syria. Ibi tí mo fẹ́ lọ ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ tó jẹ́ kí n bold bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni pé ó gbé okòwò ẹ̀ lé Muhammad lọ́wọ́ láti máa mú lọ sí Syria. Tẹ́ bá wo ibi tí ìjà sí wà, ó dì mí tí mi ò lè display map yẹn ní alẹ́ yìí. Ibi tí ìjà sí wà síbi tí Syria wà, ọ̀nà jíjìn ni. So ohun tí a lè sọ ni wípé Muhammad is not just nǹkan tá a lè deduce níbẹ̀ ni pé Muhammad was an international merchant who traveled far and wide to do business. So that's what we can deduce from this particular evidence. And this shows that this is not just roadside business, but an advanced business that require knowledge of the business and skill to calculate and take record. So ẹni tí ó bá máa mú ọjà láti ìlú kan lọ sí ìlú kejì lọ́nà jíjìn tí ó dẹ̀ máa lọ tó máa ṣe ìdúnàdúrà, ó ní láti jẹ́ ẹni tí ọpọlọ rẹ̀ pé, tí ara rẹ̀ dáńtọ́, tí ó dẹ̀ lè ṣe láti lè kọ nǹkan sílẹ̀ tàbí láti lè fi because tẹ́ bá wò dáadáa, ó máa san owó orí. Wọ́n máa ń san owó orí, ẹni tó bá fẹ́ tajà nígbà yẹn máa ń san owó orí. Kí lẹ máa pè, ṣé tax náà ni owó orí àbí kí lẹ máa pè?
Dáórì.
So ó gbọ́dọ̀ kí lẹ pè?
Tax.
Tax, ó máa need àti san tax ní ayé ìgbà yẹn. Even à ń ṣe láyè sí tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ta ọjà, ìjọba máa yọ tax lórí ọjà. So you must be able to calculate and remove tax for what you are selling or what you are buying. So irú àwọn skill wo, I think I will be able to do this in English more. So what are the skills a merchant like Muhammad must possess to be a successful businessman? Number one, he must possess business acumen. That is the knowledge of the business of the market. He must understand where to buy goods at a low price and where to sell them for a profit. He must know that. This requires knowledge of supply and demand in various regions, as well as insight into market trend. Number two, he must be able to do valuation of goods. That is, ó gbọ́dọ̀ lè ṣe àyẹ̀wò àwọn nǹkan tó fẹ́ rà, ǹjẹ́ ó dá láti rà bí ó ṣe. Being able to accurately assess the quality and value of goods such as spice, textile, and precious metal was essential to ensure profitable transaction. Then number two, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní negotiable skill or negotiation skill. He must be able to bargain. That is, he must have a successful merchant need to be skilled negotiator, able to strike favorable deal with both suppliers and buyers. This involves not only bargaining by angling over price, but also negotiating terms of trade such as credit and delivery condition. They must be able to have diplomacy in dealing with various people and culture. Diplomacy was a key at the time. A merchant needed to be building relationship and trust, sometimes across culture and linguistic device, wherever we have multiple language. So he must be able to deal with them with diplomacy, or else ọ̀rọ̀ dàbí ọmọ Igbo ni, tí ọmọ Igbo bá wá ṣe business nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò bá ṣọ́ra, àmì tí Yorùbá bá fẹ́ rajà tí Yorùbá ò bá fi etí sí nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ dáadáa, wọ́n á gba. So èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ láti lè deal pẹ̀lú wọn in their own language. So one of the skills is that he must be able to be diplomatic. So the next one is that he must have financial management. This is very key. This is because ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ wa gan lọ lálẹ́ ònìyẹn. Somebody who is a merchant must have financial management skill. Number one, he must be in accounting. He must know how to keep accurate record of transaction, cost, and profit.
Ṣé ń gbọ́ mi báyìí? Ìgbọ́ wọn mọ́ mi mọ̀ bí ẹ̀ ń gbọ́ mi o.
Was fighter. Merchant often deal with large sum of money, sometimes on credit. He must be able to decide where to invest his money. Tó bá yẹ kó ra pọ̀nmọ́, tẹ́ pé pọ̀nmọ́ tó ń tà jù nísìnyí, tó bá lọ fi ra ẹja, ó máa kùtà lórí ẹ̀. So he must be able to decide on what to do. So these are the kind of skill a merchant must possess. Also, they must have a risk management. He must be able to understand the risk that is in a business. Then he must be able to make decision on time. So all these things, we can see the quality in Muhammad, which I will show very later with scholarly claim. Then he must, when it comes to logistical expert, he must ask that he must know how to plan a route of his business. Which part is he going through? Which one is the shortest route? So that he will not be spending money unnecessary in traveling around. They must have, caravan. He must have caravan management. Managing a caravan involves logistic planning. Tó bá máa gun kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ lọ, ibo ló gbọ́dọ̀ gbà, ibo náà ti máa ń ṣe supply jù and all those stuff. Ṣé kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ máa dá láti kó àwọn ẹrù yìí? Ṣé ẹṣin ló máa good láti kó àwọn ẹrù yìí? And bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. They must have cultural and linguistic skills. So there is tendency that Muhammad was able to speak more than one language, and we can see evidence of that in the Quran, because we can see evidence of Syriac. We can see, don't forget we said the other time that Khadija máa ń lọ sí Syria, and what they speak in Syriac is Syriac Aramaic. So there is tendency that Muhammad could be able to speak either Syriac and also even little bit of Greek as a merchant, because at that time Greek was one of the language speak around that area, including Aramaic. So Arabic is not that very popular, even though it's just developing. So you must have a cultural and linguistic skill. Being able to communicate in multiple language, or at least having an interpreter, was an important for dealing with diverse trade partners across Arabian Peninsula, the Levant and beyond. They must have cultural sensitivity, understanding and respecting the custom, tradition, and business practice of different regions was necessary for building trust and avoid misunderstanding. And moving on, so he must also have ethical integrity. He must be trustworthy. And Khadija nínú live lele, where this guy is trustworthy, let me take him and push him into the market so that he can make a good deal and do business for me. So building a reputation for honesty and reliability, as Muhammad did, was crucial for a long-time success. Trust was often more valuable than any contract in ancient trade, where legal resources was limited. Then we have fairness, treating customer and partner fairly, ensuring the quality of goods, and being transparent in dealings help to build lasting relationship and a good reputation. Then lastly, on this side, we have physical and mental endurance. That is, it must be resilience. Long distance trade often involve handlers traveling across desert and mountains, sometimes for months at a time. Physical stamina and mental resilience were necessary to endure this challenge. Then lastly, you must be able to adapt. You call it adaptability. Merchants had to be adaptable, able to respond to changing conditions such as weather, political unrest, or shift in market demand. before I proceed, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ gbọ́ mi lálẹ́ ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ sanwó torí pé mo ti kọ́ yín ní skill tẹ́ máa ṣe business yín through Muhammed lálẹ́. So ẹ máa dá owó yẹn jọ, ẹ máa fún FSP. So all these things are things that I discovered that Muhammed
ẹ fẹ́ gba jizya àbí?
Irọ́ ẹ̀yin ò ṣe jizya o. So let us so these are the skill. This skill will have been critical for any merchant operating on the scale that Muhammad did, and particularly in times and places where long distance travel were fraught with uncertainty and require both strategic planning and day-to-day problem solving. Muhammad's success in this area are noted in historical accounts and was a testament for his exceptional ability in that domain. So let us look at what the scholars has to say regarding this. I'm going to quote a number of scholars because I'm dealing with this scholarly. It's not just a layman discussion that we just say, people even criticize it that, I mean, you are saying something from your head, you don't know. But let us see, that is buttress the point of what are the scholars saying concerning how Muhammad have lived his life as a merchant and what could have been his skill, which later on was transferred to his ministry as allegedly a prophet. So I have one of the top scholar called Motogeri, which is called what? In his book, Muhammad, the Prophet and the Statesman, he said Muhammad's business acumen and fairness in dealings were essential in earning him the trust and respect of the Meccan society. His reputation for honesty, al-Amin, was foundational for his later success as a religious leader, as it demonstrated his ability to manage resources and perfect people effectively. You can see what this scholar has to say about him. It was, without being biased, I intentionally put all these sources outside. I'm not doing it in a sense to do polemics at all. I'm doing it just to prove my point. So if this scholar is saying that Muhammad actually transferred his skill from business to a religious leader and was successful as a merchantman and also was able to be successful as a religious leader, does not mean I'm in support of Muhammad or what he did. So I'm not being polemical here and just being sincere and quoting what the scholar said. Another scholar said that his name is Armstrong Karen. In his book, Muhammad, a biography of the prophet, he said Muhammad's integrity and fairness in trade were crucial in establishing his reputation in Mecca. His ethical approach to business set him apart in a society where trust was a rare commodity, and this moral leadership could later become the cornerstone for his prophetic mission. Another scholar said by the name Esposito John, in his book, Islam, the Straight Path, he said Muhammad's diplomatic skill and cultural sensitivity were evident in his dealings as a merchant. This ability allowed him to forge strong relationships with various tribes. He said Muhammad's diplomatic skill and cultural sensitivity were evident in his dealing as a merchant. These abilities allow him to forge strong relationships with various tribes and merchants, laying the groundwork for his later role as a mediator and leader in the early Muslim community. Another scholar by the name Rodison, in his book Muhammad, Passion book, he said the risk inherent in long-distance trade require Muhammad. You see, we are putting out the skill that Muhammad had when it was a businessman, a merchant. He has this resilience and he understands the risk in business. So this scholar said the risk inherent in long distance travel require Muhammad to develop a keen sense of strategic planning and risk management. This skill, honed through years of commercial experience, contributes significantly to his resilience and strategic decision making as a leader. You can see that. And also on this part, I have Lapidus in his book, A History of Islamic Society. He said Muhammad's experience in managing caravan and handling financial transactions provided him with essential organizational and leadership skills. These experiences mirror the complex operation he later oversaw as leader of the Muslim community. So, with what we have read, we discovered that Muhammad cannot be an illiterate and have all this. It's not possible. He must be someone who is beyond what the Muslims are presenting to us. Now, what we want to do now is that to show evidence that Muhammad must know how to do calculation, because the classical Arabic at that time, or let me say Arabic at that time, they don't use number that we use today 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't use it. It was this decimal of a thing did not existed at the time. So Roman numeral, which was brought into the European around 16th, 17th, 15th, 16th century, and it went across. Taba nothing but our primary school, Arabic numerals. Because the decimal number or the binary number, which is something that is outside the Arabic numeral. And during those time, what the highly Muslim does is that, or let me say the Arabs generally did, was that when they are counting, some of them use stroke and some of them write down in numbers or in terms of their in form of Arabic. And I'm going to show you evidence. So what happened was that uh, Muhammad, like many or before him and during and after his time, was a merchant and a trader who must know numbers and bookkeeping. So I've made that evidence the other time. So there is what we call Arabic gematria or gematrica. Gematria. That's gematria. So it is a system of value, also known as abjad in Arabic. It assign a whole number to every letter in the Arabic alphabet. It was used long before Islam among the merchants in monetary transaction, calculate goods and make taxes, and has been used by many after Islam. The system allowed merchants to conduct business in a cultural integrated manner using their linguistic knowledge to manage financial transactions. So what we are saying here is that if you are not, or if you don't understand the language of Arabic, you will not be able to write down numbers. You will not be able to write down or do calculation or do business properly. So for you to be a merchant at the time, you must be somebody who is able to write something down, who is able to do a simple calculation or basic calculation. And the way it happens is this: you use the matrical value system, which is called abjad in Arabic. You can do your research and criticize me if I am wrong on this. It's an open challenge to anybody that wants to criticize what I've said and prove that I'm wrong. I'm giving everybody that. So this approach was particularly practical before the widespread of adoption of Arabic numeral, which later replaced such system with more straightforward numerical notation. So what we are saying is that this particular numbering system, you can see Arabic, you can see the decimal, the number system, which is the modern number system that we use today, beside it. So they write it in, they use letter at the time to translate to numbers. So it's not that they use number like 1, 2, 3 like our own. Their own is they use their normal letter like Ali, Bata, and so on. So and the end of it is that from 1 to 50, 1 to 7, 9, 8, 9, 10. Then from 10 they move to 20, they move to 30, they move to 40, then up to 1,000. So that's the way it works. So let us see the application of it. Application, it was used in transaction. Merchant could use this abjad system to keep track of numbers and calculation in a way that could be memorized or recorded using letter rather than numeric symbol. Like for example, example, suppose a merchant was calculating the value of goods worth 284 units. Using the abjad system, you can have 200, tẹ́bá wo bí tí 200 wà níbi lókè níbi screenshot ní òkè yìí. Nǹkan tó represent ẹ̀ ó ti wà níbẹ̀ níwájú ẹ̀ rà. Nǹkan tó jẹ́ 80 tó wà níbẹ̀ ó ti wà níwájú ẹ̀ fà. And nǹkan tó jẹ́ 4 ó jẹ́ dà. If you calculate them together or you put them together, it will be rafada. So that means rafad. That is the way they are going to pronounce 284 in those times. So that's where they calculate. So Muhammad used this method as a merchant, like every other merchant before him, during his time, and after his time. Also, they use it in taxation. That is, in taxation often require more formalized record keeping. So if you want to do a balancing of your business, you must know how to do taxation. So, you have, let's say you want to deduct tax from your original money that you have made, this must be recorded, or else account yẹn máa dojúrú. So taxation often require more formalized record keeping. In such case, the abjad system will be employed to calculate tax based on the value of transaction. The numerical value corresponding to this total amount will be converted into a string of letters. This system allows for the efficiency of computation and record of sum. Now, let us also look at what the scholar said, so that Muslim will not be criticizing me that this guy is just saying something out of his head. So let us see what the scholar said about this abjad system. So I have Rosetta, which is in the book, The Classical Heritage in Islam. Not the what I'm saying, what the book I am quoting, The Classical Heritage in Islam. The abjad system, though primarily used for linguistic and mystical purposes, also found practical application in realms of commerce and administration, where numerical literacy was intertwined with literacy in letters. Can you read that? So if you are able to speak Arabic, you should be able to identify the letter. If you're able to identify the letter, you must be able to do calculation. So that is what, as a merchant, I'm just saying, as a merchant who engage in commerce and administration, and Mohammed is administering Khadija's business and is also into the commerce, who is not only a local one but international commerce. Another scholar called by Edres in his book Islamic Mathematics and Astronomy, he said the abjad numerical were employed by merchants and officials alike as a means of recording and transmitting numerical information in a way that was both secure and culturally resonant, ensuring that the literate class could engage in commercial and administrative activity without the need for specialized numerical symbol. I want to quickly interject here. If Muhammad was a merchant and is not keeping record, how is it that Khadija was able to trust him with money, and he will come back home and bring goods or take goods out and come with money? How is Khadija be able to understand how much he sells, how much is remaining, the book balancing and all those stuff, if not that Muhammad is actually keeping a record of what he is doing? So he must know or make a calculation or come back home and do calculation for Khadija. Iye ọjà báyìí láti tà lónìí o, iye tó kù lélẹ̀ o, iye owó tá a parí lè àti san owó orí ní ibi ọ̀hún báyìí o, owó ọmọ onílẹ̀ àsan o, iye báyìí ni owó tí ó kù tá a gbé wálé o. Khadija does believe him and trust him. So we also have another scholar who of the opinion, they call his name is Sheata Mariam. She's a female. Numerology in Islamic culture, beyond mysticism. She said the abjad system was not mere a tool for mysticism, but was also adopted in everyday practical context. You read that, but was also adopted in everyday practical context, including trade and taxation, where its use allowed for the incorporation of letters into numerical calculation, thus blending cultural and functional aspects of early Islamic lifestyle. So you can see from this that we are presented that there is a system of calculation that merchants use in the time of Muhammad, even before him and after him as merchant. And being an international trader, he must have used this system in calculation, or else the business is a mess. All of us that are doing business, we know the importance of keeping record. So it is very crucial to understand that this thing was actually in place. So it won't have been possible for Muhammad as a merchant to have not known how to read and write. He traveled far and wide for Khadija. Now, another place we want to go is that her Arab illiterates, because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn Muslims sọ wọ́n pé àwọn Arab nígbà yẹn they are illiterate, they don't know what they are doing, they are this, they are that, and so on and so forth. This is the way the Muslim will actually push narrative to us. Like I said, standard Islamic narrative has all in them. With the evidences that is around now, we are able to disprove that the narrative that Muslims are selling to us are not actually true. They were false. The way they presented to us the Arabian of the time, which is Hijaz and its surrounding, was not actually true. Some of the artifacts and some of the things that are coming up now are showing that even by the epigrapher of or either an Islamic epigrapher or secular epigrapher, prove that the surrounding of Muhammad and even in Hijaz at the time were not that illiterate at all. So let's see what the uh, scholar said concerning this. In a book called
Only
Arabia.
15 minutes fún yín o. Mo fẹ́
All right,
kọ́.
sir. Yes, I will work on that. I said we cannot finish it once and for all because this is very key. In Arabia and the Arabs, from the Bronze Age to the coming of Islam, by the name Robert G. Holland. So it discussed, it said, the fact that inscription in Southern Arabia, Talmudic, and Nabatean script have been found across the peninsula suggests that literacy was not entirely absent. However, it was likely limited to specific sector of society, such as traders, traders, poets, and religious officials. You can read that. Let's move on because of our time. FSP is the time to go. Another scholar, a leading scholar in ancient Arabian inscription by the name Michael C.A. MacDonald, in his book Literacy and Identity in Pre-Islamic Arabia, said there is a clear evidence of the use of writing in pre-Islamic Arabia, particularly among the Nabateans and Southern Arabia. The existence of graffiti and monumental inscription demonstrate that writing was not just confined to a small elite, but was also used by ordinary people, at least in same region. Let's also consider another person. He said, there's this Patricia Crone. I like that woman, though I have not read all of her book. I have some of her book. Patricia Crone, in her book Meccan Trade and Rise of Islam, she said, given the extensive trade network in which the Meccan were involved, it is plausible that literacy, at least at a basic level, was more common among the traders than is usual assumed. The need for record-keeping contract and correspondence would have necessitated a functional level of literacy among those involved in commerce. And this actually proved my point, because what we have read about Muhammad earlier, this woman actually proved everything in just at a glance. Let's move forward because of our time. We have another scholar, Fred M. Donner, in his narrative of Islamic origin, the beginning of Islamic historical writing, he highlighted the transition from the pre-Islamic to the early Islamic period did not see a sudden rise in literacy. Rather, it reflects a continuation and expansion of existing scribal practice. The fact that the Quran was compiled into a written text shortly after Muhammad indicates that there were already a literate culture in place among the at least certain group within Arabian society. You can read that. So let me add one more scholar to it, then we move on. In another book, Byzantium and Arabia in 6th century, he was talking about during the time of Muhammad, this time around. Arabian merchants, especially those engaged trade with Byzantine Empire, often became bilingual. That is, they must be able to speak at least two languages, learning Greek and Arabic. This bilingualism likely contribute to higher literacy rate among certain Arab community, particularly those involved in international trade. And Muhammad was international trader. He was also someone who moved around far and wide. So Muhammad could be able to speak possibly Greek and Arabic, and we can see element of Greek in the Quran. We can see the element of Aramaic in the Quran, and also we have Arabic in the Quran. So Muhammad could have been multilingual person. He could have been someone who is an illiterate, total illiterate, or who doesn't know how to read or write. So let me quickly show more evidence to my points. We have more evidence that show Arabia cannot be what our Muslim portray it to be for us. So let's quickly run through some of them. Number one, we have Arabian inscription. I said the other time, epigraphic evidence. We have some Muslim epigrapher that are doing wonderful job showing evidence that there are inscriptions around who are actually contain writings of a lot of tribe and also some cultures who are in Arabia. For instance, for the Southern Arabian, which we call the Yemen today, where Muhammad family came from. We also have the modern day Jordan. As far as Jordan, we have people that have inscription there, so they can't be just illiterate. They must have been writing and reading. And don't forget, I read the scholar that talked about graffiti and inscription the other time. So there is evidence of graffiti and inscription. That is inscription in a place like Nabatean city of Petra and the desert of Arabia indicate that some Arabian could read and write. For instance, the Sephitic inscription in the northern Arabian desert, dating from the 4th century BCE, that is before a common era, to the 4th century CE, when the modern day Arabic actually started. So, but there are evidence for their inscription at the time. Also, we have poetry and oral tradition. So we have people who are skilled in poetry in the pre-Islamic Arabia, and they are very rich in oral tradition. They write things as well, apart from the reading. They also have marketplace as a cultural center. In fact, there is a place there is maybe very soon I want to talk about the source of the Quran. Maybe when we come to level of talking about the source of the Quran, there is something that they call mulakat or so, where the poets will come around and hang their poetry on the Kaaba, and everybody will recite it, and people will compete with each other, and at the end of the day, the winner will be declared. Even there is an evidence that Muhammad used to sit down with the poet and listen to them and enjoy their work. There are evidence to that. So that means that they cannot just be common people, and poet is not something that somebody can listen to and decipher. It must be able to be skilled in poet as well. So Muhammad must be skilled in poetry as well to be able to understand what the poet are, and that is the common culture among the Arabs. Then we also have scribe in Mecca at the time. So that's one of their hub and where they do their work. So in Mecca, a similar trade hub, merchants like to use scribe to keep record of transaction, contract, and correspondence. The existence of such scribe suggests that literacy, while perhaps not widespread, was present among the certain classes of society, particularly those involved in commerce. We also have scribe in early Islam as well. Apart from that, I just want to rush it, so you can pause it and read what I put on the screen. We also have trade and commerce, that is literacy among the merchants. Like I said the other time, in Yemen, in Saudi Arabia, and all those stuff, we have people that are skilled in reading and writing. So there are evidence of. Then we also have, we've talked about language, that is bilingualism and literacy was also something that is common. We also have Islamic historical sources like Ibn Ishaq, who wrote the biography of Muhammad. He wrote something about that Muhammad was not illiterate, that he was able, Muhammad himself and some others were able to read and write. And also we have Quran reference that talks about talking about some people writing and reading and using pen, like Surah 96, which we are still going to come back to in our next discussion, maybe tomorrow by the grace of God. We'll come to that and we'll show evidence for that. So I want to end this particular discussion today with some take home, so that tomorrow we start with another thing till we finish this thing, because it's something that everybody must sit down and learn. And I want us to keep it and send to our Muslim friends to start learning. What we are doing today is supposed to buttress them and also open them to understand their religion better from the Christian side. I'm not using my source now. I'm not using Christian source. I'm not quoting Bible. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any polemics. I'm just using Islamic sources, which we are going to use. We are going to do a lot of Arabic gymnastics as well and prove that most of the people that have been telling us that Muhammad could not read or write are liars. So, like I said the other time, Muhammad, like many other before him and during and after his time, was a merchant and a trader who must know number and bookkeeping. Number two, the people of Hijaz were writers and readers, like poetries that may enjoy, including Muhammad himself. Then he was surrounded with bunch of educated people, like Waraka. Waraka was translating Bible from Hebrew into Arabic for himself or for who? For Arabs. Khadija also was an elite. She is an enlightened person who do business. We have scribe also around him. In fact, there is evidence that Abu Bakr himself could be able to read, all right, and even among his enemy, we have his enemy who could read, all right. What about after the death of Muhammad, in which the book of the ancient were translated into Arabic for Arabic people? So with all this, we know that Muhammad could be a reader.
Hello, sir. Dáadáa, sir.
FSP. FSP.
TMD mo wà ń kọ́ ni mo wà ń kọ́.
Ṣé ó ti tán àbí?
Yeah, ẹ ti parí àbí?
Yeah, I've stopped here for today.
Okay.
So we have more tomorrow, a very serious one tomorrow. This is just the preamble to what we want to do.
Arákùnrin TMD, bí ẹ ti ń dá wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yẹn lọ, ẹ má bínú, Yorùbá lèmi ò gbọ́ fínnífínntìn, ní tí mo gbọ́ náà nílò, ẹ má bínú. Mo láwọn béèrè kan, mi sì fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe bí àwọn àáfàá ti ṣe. Mo lérò pé ẹ̀ ní ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
Lágbára Ọlọ́run.
Ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́, báwo l'Ànábì ṣe lè ṣe àbójútó okòwò Khadija tó bá yẹ pé kò mọ̀ọ́kọ kò mọ̀ọ́kà? Ṣé alájọ Ṣómólú tó fọdún 3 gbàjọ lọ́wọ́ 7,000 ènìyàn tí ò ṣe owó san tí ò dẹ̀ ṣe orúkọ ẹnikẹ́ni kọ́, ṣóun ni àbí òun tún burú, ó tún dára jù alájọ Ṣómólú lọ ni?
Okay.
Ó tán. Ṣókí ni o.
Ẹ̀ta ló tún sọ̀rọ̀ ó dà pé ṣé ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ yẹn fún mi?
Ẹ̀yin ni mò ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀, àwọn a máa tá bá parí àwa TikTok, á mú tiwa tá bá parí tán. Ẹ̀yin ẹ kọ́kọ́ bá wa yanjú ti yín tán.
Okay, so ohun tó wà ń bẹ̀ ni wípé Muhammed ń ṣe alájọ Ṣómólú tí kò mọ nǹkan kan rárá. Eléyìí mọ
arákùnrin tẹ̀lé, ẹ má bínú, alájọ Ṣómólú ó mọ nǹkan, ó gba owó lọ́wọ́ 7,000 ènìyàn, kò kọrúkọ ẹnikẹ́ni lẹ̀, kò sì ṣe owó san, kò sì ṣe orúkọ kọ. Ṣé òun náà bí alájọ Ṣómólú ló ṣe ṣe ni àbí òun ní
báwo ló ṣe ṣe business? Kì í ṣe bí alájọ Ṣómólú because ẹ tó wá máa jẹ́.
Ṣé gbọ́n nǹkan tó ń sọ? Àwọn tó wà TikTok wọ́n ní kò ṣe ọjà rà, kò ṣe owó san, àgbọ̀ kó jẹ gbèsè. Kí ló báwo ló ti ṣe?
For a complex business like that, it requires him to write down. So it's not just alájọ, eléyìí ń ṣe àjọ. This is business. This is an enterprise business that requires traveling. You must be able to keep record, or else, what if something happened to you on the way and they rob you? Because the journey from Hijaz to Syria is not a small distance. So you must be able to keep money and keep record of money, or else nǹkan ló lè ṣẹlẹ̀ tó yẹ kó lè jẹ́ kó gbogbo ọjà dojúrú. So it's not just ó mọ̀ nǹkan a sì máa tú gbogbo ẹ̀.
Mo kàn fẹ́ sáré kẹ́ ẹ bá mi tọ́ṣẹ̀ kéékèèké ni. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, tó bá yẹ pé Ànábì kò mọ̀ọ́kọ, nítorí àwọn mùsùlùmí mo ṣe ń béèrè yìí kí ọpọlọ wọn lè ṣí sílẹ̀. Kì í ṣe pé mò ń béèrè láti takò yín. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ dáhùn ṣókíṣókí so that àwọn tó ti ń nírú ìgbàgbọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n á lè gba ìṣíníyè lálẹ́ yìí. Tó bá jẹ́ agbọ́pànà bíi wọ́n kọ lẹ́tà aburú kan sí ara sọ́ba Róòmù tó wá fi rán ẹni tí ò mọ, wọ́n ní àìmọṣẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ orogún ló mú torí bomi gbóná. Ta ló yẹ kó gba lẹ́tà yẹn kó sá lọ kó má wálé mọ́? Ó wá gba lẹ́tà láti Mẹ́kà, ó wá lọ sí Róòmù, ló ń fi irú lẹ́tà bẹ́ẹ̀ jíṣẹ́ pé ẹ gba ìsìláàmù kálàfíà lè jẹ́ ti yín, kẹ́ ẹ lè wà ní ìdáàbòbò, ẹ gba ìsìláàmù ọrùn yín lórí yín. Ọba Róòmù ní kíni ìwọ lákòókò fi jófin, ó mú orí ẹ ó gé fẹ́ù. ta ló kọ lẹ́tà yẹn torí lẹ́tà yẹn wà lórí net lẹ́tà ànábì ẹ̀ ṣànábì náà ló kọ ni àbí ó jábọ́ látọ̀run ni.
àwọn kan sọ wípé scribe ló kọ but evidence wà pé Muhammad fúnra rẹ̀ ló kọ. A máa need àti check linguistic structure of ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn which we are going to do tomorrow. A máa ṣe lọ́la, ẹ má worry.
ok ẹ jẹ́ kí n béèrè ilé náà ìbéèrè bíi yòókù bíi mẹ́ta. wọ́n ní ànábì ò mọ̀ ọkọ kò mọ̀ ọ́ kà. ẹ gbọ́ statement yìí o nígbà tí Jibrila fún pínpín what shall I read tí ò bá mọ̀ ọkọ kí ló tó ní what shall I read mi mọ̀ bí ẹ get question yìí.
Mo get kẹtẹ sọ.
ẹ̀yin ò mọ̀ ọkọ mọ̀ ká ó wá ní what shall I read ìyẹn túmọ̀ sí pé tán bá fún un ní nǹkan yóò ṣe kí ni kí ló tó sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn tó bá yẹ kó
ìṣòro I think ó dà pé ìyẹn náà wà lára nǹkan tá a máa gbé yẹ̀wò. Ìṣòro pọ̀ nínú narration yẹn. Ìṣòro tó dẹ̀ pọ̀ ń bẹ ni wípé àwọn kan sọ wípé what shall I read, àwọn kan sọ pé I don't know how to read. We are going to look at it and see what it means. And read níbẹ̀ kò mean pé wọ́n fún ní nǹkan láti kà. Ó túmọ̀ sí pé read aloud, that is recite náà ló mean. And when you are saying you should recite, that means it's not necessary that they give you something to read. Maybe something that they drop in your mind and you are echoing it out back. Or dàbí ọmọ kindergarten tí ẹ̀kọ́ ní nǹkan tí wọ́n ní ó yá máa sọ tẹ̀lé mi a b c bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ló ṣe rí. So a máa gbé gbogbo eléyìí yẹ̀wò, a dẹ̀ máa proof àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ sọ pé Muhammad kò lè kọ kò lè kà, á máa proof wọn wrong.
last question wọ́n bí ẹ̀kọ́ yìí ti ń lọ mo gbọ́ tẹ́ sọ pé ẹ̀kọ́ ó gbajúgbajà lákòókò nílùú Árábù lásìkò ìgbà yẹn kì í ṣe àwọn tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n ń ṣe púrúǹtù débi pé wọ́n dá wọ́n ní àwọn tó ń kọ poem ifá bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń kọ́lẹ̀ mo ti wà ìwà yìí ti wá fún mi mo ti ń kọ poem torí mo jáde síta mo rí tí àwọn ìràwọ̀ pọ̀ lójú ọ̀run mo fẹ́ fi ìràwọ̀ kọ poem màá sì kọ́ bí alálẹ̀ àbí láàrọ̀lá ẹ̀mí ti bà lé mi mo fẹ́ kọ wá yìí sọ̀kalẹ̀ tọ̀ mí wá ṣùgbọ́n mo ti kọ mo ní by the shiny million ibi tí mo dé nìyẹn so tí ẹ bá ti ń gbé wá fún mi ẹ má wọrí màá parí ẹ bí mo ṣe kọ sí Yorùbá yẹn màá kọ tèyìnbó náà star ni màá ti fi kọ ṣẹ̀wọ̀n pàlà fi pátákó ẹṣin búra ìyẹn kọ́ now tí ẹ̀kọ́ bá jẹ́ nǹkan tó ti gbajúgbajà ńgbà yẹn kí ló dé tó jẹ́ gbà táwọn fẹ́ kọ Kùránì kalẹ̀ inú ewé inú igi inú egungun inú kí ló dé tó fi rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣé ìṣe pé wọ́n ń gbé gèǹjẹ lé wa lọ́wọ́.
No, ní ancient times tí wọ medieval period tí printing press ò tí ì sí tí paper ọ̀tẹ̀ tí ì máa kọ́ mọ̀ nǹkan tó máa ń kọ náà wọ́n máa ń kọ sára ewé wọ́n máa ń kọ sára òkúta even ní during biblical time even though a ní nǹkan tó ń pè ní papyrus ewé náà ni.
papyrus nǹkan tí mo ń béèrè gan nìyẹn papyrus ti wà láyé Jésù.
wọ́n máa ń kọ ní ayé Muhammad náà wọ́n máa ń kọ sáwọ ẹran náà bó ṣe máa ń kọ sí awọ ẹran ní time Jésù but papyrus lélẹ̀ is very expensive. Ó wà lára nǹkan tá a bá fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa authorship of the gospel and why tó jẹ́ pé àwọn tó kọ gospel wọ́n á kọ àwọn nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé ó wà nínú Matthew tí Matthew dẹ̀ kọ sílẹ̀ nínú àmì tí Mark ò kọ. Material tí wọ́n ń lò wà expensive apart from nǹkan material papyrus ink tí wọ́n ń lò is an expensive one. So àárín àwọn elite nìkan lẹ ti lè ríru àwọn material yẹn torí ẹ máa ní láti lọ sí Egypt or some other area láti lọ get papyrus ó common ní Egypt dáadáa kò dẹ̀ sí ní Palestine so you have to travel to go and get it. Ilé tó bá dẹ̀ wà available àárín àwọn olówó ẹtìmárì so for àwọn gospel authors láti lè ní ilé tí wọ́n kọ sílẹ̀ fún wa yẹn we should thank them o we should always glorify God for what they ìwọ̀nba tán kọ́lẹ̀ òun ni wọ́n sọ pé tí a bá máa kọ nígbà tí John fẹ́ parí ó ní tí mo bá kọ gbogbo ohun tí Jésù ń ṣe ó ní gbogbo ojú ìwé yìí ò lè gba gbogbo rẹ̀ tán torí pé there is an available limited available resources to put down everything that happen so ní time Muhammad kì í ṣe ní àsìkò gbà yẹn poverty wà so they are not able to get papyrus because it's a desert land in fact they don't even have papyrus in Arabia so for them to now travel all the way to Egypt or Syria to go and get it is not something a small journey so and it's expensive to get so the only available material tán máa ní náà ni òkúta àti awọ ẹran dẹ̀ ni ó ní wọn yọ ìgbà tó lè lò tó fi máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní rún dànù wọn àdè lè preserve torí weather tí ó wà ní time ìgbà yẹn so bó ṣe rí gẹ́lẹ́ nìyẹn.
ṣáà lẹ́nìkan kan tó ní ìbéèrè ní TikTok ká tó ṣígun sórí TikTok ká tó parí ní YouTube.
FSP mo ní ìbéèrè o tí
ṣe báyìí ẹ dúró Bra Samadi ẹ jẹ́ kí Bra Samadi kọ́kọ́ béèrè torí mo rí para wọn ti wá gàlégàlé go ahead Bra Samadi.
Yeah.
hold on sir.
ẹ kú iṣẹ́ ẹ kú àtàárọ̀ TMD ẹ kú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ẹ kú ohùn àti ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́. So mo gbọ́ àwọn ọ̀dọ́ bí mo ṣe mo ń wọlé mo ń jáde ni but mo gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú àwọn kan tẹ́ kọ́. So ìbéèrè kan tó wá sí mi lọ́kàn ni wípé mo rí chart kan tẹ́ show tó show Arabic the numerals Roman numerals, no, not Roman numerals, our normal numerals, Abi. Is that Roman numerals? At the Arabic, Kilawi?
Yes, you are right.
The Roman numerals at the Arabic numerals, so, but mo ń wo Arabic numerals, mo rí pé àwọn dot àtàwọn vowelization yẹn wà nínú àwọn tẹ́ show yẹn. But I'm very sure pé ní àkókò Muhammad yẹn, àwọn dot yẹn wọ́n ti develop ẹ̀. So, ṣé ó ṣe é ṣe kó jẹ́ pé because this one ó dàbí pé àwọn later development ni eléyìí mo mọ̀ pé lákòókò ẹ̀ náà wọ́n máa ní bó ṣe ń ṣe òǹkà tiwọn kò sí àríyànjiyàn pa wọ́n ní bó ṣe ń ṣe òǹkà tiwọn but this one looks to me like it's a modern ìgbà tó ti Arabic text and numerals tó ti wà more advanced.
mo ti understand nǹkan tẹ́ ń sọ Brasamai. So gbogbo bí tẹ́ ti rí dot yìí is just for us to be able to pronounce it fún àwọn tó ń kà ní modern day, but actually tẹ́ bá yọ àwọn letters, their critical mark tẹ́ bá yọ wọ́n kúrò, the people at the time of Muhammad could also pronounce it, they could read it without the critical. So what we have here is just for people like modern people to be able to pronounce. So what the expert did was to not use the consonantal text or the alphabet, so they use the diacritical or the vowelized one.
Yes, mo tún wá fẹ́ sọ nǹkan kan. Nǹkan tẹ́ cover is very profound, is nice, but mo tún wá wò tábà ṣe mọ̀ their own standard Islamic narratives, traditions wọn àti tẹ́ bá ṣàpò gbogbo ẹ̀ papọ̀ ó dàbí pé bí confusion ó ti fẹ́ jáde nínú gbogbo ẹ̀ nígbà tí kò fẹ́ yíyan. Tàbá sí pé Muhammad ò lè kọ kò lè kà because mo mọ̀ pé àwọn kan wà tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ní standard education bí a kan ṣe structured education ṣe mọ̀ but wọ́n ní what is called they are streetwise. Wọ́n ní ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ Yorùbá tá a lè sọ pé wọ́n ní what's that word náà mi rántí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn but mo mọ̀ àwọn kan tí mo ti rí dáadáa tó pé wọ́n lọ primary school rárá.
Alákọ̀rí.
Ṣùgbọ́n alákọ̀rí yẹn that one sounds abusive kind of.
Rárá àwọn tó alákọ̀rí ni àwọn tó yẹ pé ọpọlọ wọn ṣiṣẹ́ bí aago kì í ṣe abusive.
Ṣùgbọ́n wọn ò lọ síléèwé rárá mo mọ àwọn kan tó mọ̀ wọn lọ síléèwé rárá bóyá wọn lọ kọ́ṣẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ọpọlọ wọn Jésù ó lágbára ju ìṣirò ìmọ̀ tán mọ̀. For example irú alájọ whatever tẹ́ pé yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n wà tó jẹ́ pé bóyá wọ́n kọ́ṣẹ́ ni tẹ́ bá wo àwọn Ìgbò yẹn àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn Ìgbò tó máa ń ṣe ṣọmọ ọ̀dọ́ náà máa ń pè wọ́n mo ti gbàgbé nǹkan tó máa ń pè wọ́n apprentices mo ti rí several tó ń lọ school rárá tó pé oko village náà ti mú wọn lọ school rárá ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ọmọ yìí orí wọn pé kọjá alájọ Ṣómólú wọ́n dẹ̀ máa dúró sí ọjà náà ni ṣọ́rọ̀ mi yẹn wọ́n á dẹ̀ ṣe ṣírò gbogbo nǹkan tó ń tà àti nǹkan tó kù àti everything wọ́n á ṣe fún yín complete. So àwọn èèyàn kan wà àwọn èèyàn wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó pé wọn lọ léèwé rárá wọn lè fi dígò kọ owó àwọn míì kan bí àgbàdo ṣe èdèkò yẹn náà ṣe máa kọ wọn bó ṣe máa fi ìdígò kọ owó. So nǹkan tí mo tọ́ra ti ṣó mi mọ̀ bóyá ó yẹ yín ó wà so mo á wo Muhammad in the light of that and in the light of whether ṣó wà ó really kàwé ṣá then ó tún ṣe business pẹ̀lú according to their narrative so ipò ń bá Khadija ṣe business ẹ̀dẹ̀ sọ pé ó ń lọ àwọn several trade routes tó ń lọ bá ṣe tajà and again mo mọ̀ pé àwọn Quraishi business caravans náà ṣe mọ̀ pé àwọn náà ti ṣe business gbogbo ìgbà yẹn tó show pé wọ́n gbé àwọn ọjà káàkiri láti lọ́ọ́ máa tà so mo á ń wò
ẹ máa la ọjà yẹn o.
Muhammad kò really yé mi dáadáa.
Okay, so àkọ́kọ́ a lè project modern day academic system or environment or society into the medieval or ancient time. They also have their own structure. They also have their own pattern of learning, like oral tradition, that you have to say something to their ear and they get it. But in the case of keeping a robust business and their record for accountability, for somebody to say, I trust you to this level, you must be able to be somebody who is able to prove yourself beyond doubt. And it's not something you can use verbal communication to do. You must be able to write something down to prove yourself beyond that, that this thing that I've done in terms of this business, it's not just common business, it's an international trade. And in between international trade routes. For instance, in Bible, during the time of Joseph, I want to tell Joseph, our Midianites, Ishmaelite, Joseph, they are the one that took him out and took him to the market to buy. These people have been their caravan too. They buy and sell for a long time. And looking at where they are going to buy and sell in Egypt, they buy gold, they buy precious stone and a lot of things later. Egypt has been in the level of civilization and education for a long time. And for you to be able to get to that level to do trade in Egypt, you must be able to speak Coptic. Not only that, not only Coptic, you must be able to be accountable for what you want to do, because during those times, those people that raid and rob people during those times. So you have to keep record, or else when they steal money from you, how do you want? So how do you want to keep record of what you have when they have already taken your money away? So how do you know which one is taken away, or how many you buy 10? How do you know all those things? Not just ordinary business. It's a complex business on a trade route, international trade route. So it's not just, so they have their own system, and the evidences are presented from the scholars shows that they were not just kuruntu that does not know anything. They understand and they write and keep record. So
Baba Gareta ti jáde.
Yeah, I should.
Wọ́n ní béèrè ni o. Yeah, ẹ béèrè, ajẹ́rìí, ẹ béèrè. Go ahead, sir.
Ṣé lóòótọ́ ni pé ṣé mo pé 1 2 3 tá à ń lò yẹn, wọ́n sọ pé Arab ló ní 1 2 3 tá à ń lò yẹn. But ó ní professor kan tó sọ mo ti gbàgbé gẹ́gẹ́ gbọ́rọ̀ yẹn ṣá. But one of the bigger scholars ni pé Arab kan ló ní àwọn yẹn pé nígbà tí àwọn Arab kan lọ jagun ní India, kò náà come across 1 2 3 tá à ń lò yẹn.
Ṣé gbọ́ béèrè wọn TMD?
Wọ́n ní wọ́n gbà tí wọ́n lọ jagun níbo nìyẹn?
Wọ́n ní àwọn àti máa ń sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ pé Arabian number ni 1 2 3 tá à ń lò yẹn. Gbogbo àwọn wá gbọ́ tí scholar kan tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ ẹni tó gbajúgbajà ló sọ pé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ lóòdodo, pé ìgbà tán lọ jagun ní India ni Ànábì àtàwọn àwọn Lárúbáwá rí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, number 1 2 3 yẹn náà wá copy ẹ̀, náà wá ń lò ló wá sọ di titi wọn. Wọ́n ní ṣòótọ́ ni àbẹ́wò ní ká gbàgbọ́.
Yes, I love that. That's a good question. It is 100% true, because Indians have been into numerical values right from time, numerical system right from time. And it's one of these days that I'm going to come and debunk most of these called golden age of Islam that they are propagating around. Most of the invention came from Greece, India, and some others, not from Arab. And from among the Arabs during the Abbasid reign, what they did was to translate the documents or the works of some scholars into Arabic, so that the people can work together in Iraq, the acts of wisdom at the time, to be able to work together and prove out something. It was not even Muslims that did the work. They were Jews, Christians, atheists, agnostics, and so many others. I'm just using that language that existed at the time that did the work. What is it called? Aquarismi, which is called the father of Algebra, was not the one that owns Algebra. The Indians have done Algebra right from time. They didn't call it Algebra. They didn't have a name they call it. But today we call Algebra, the Aquarismi, the father of Algebra. Is a lie. And Aquarismi was not even a Muslim. It was a Zoroastrian. And when he became when he started the work in the House of Wisdom in Iraq, and some of them were classified as Muslim, and some of them were even killed at the end of the day by Muslim, because they see it as counter argument towards what the Quran is talking about. For instance, Quran said that the heart is flat, and the scientists at that time were having another argument for science, and at the end of the day they started killing them and so on. So what you said was actually true, that these numbers are half basis from India. But when they now do it in their own language, does not mean that it starts with their own language. But coming to the Western world, Europe, where we have learning system, Arabic numeral is what they introduced to the Europe. And what we have, the system of education we have today, is an European system of education. So that's why we said that number. So that I hope it answers your question, sir.
Yeah, Gareta, mute the microphone. Gareta, ó dà pé lẹ́yìn náà ẹ ti wárí àbí.
ẹ má bínú. Tó bá ní Muhammad ń trade lọ sí Sham, àwọn area Syria, Jerusalem, gbogbo area yẹn, nǹkan kan ó rú mi lójú ń bẹ̀. Because bàbá rántí wọ́n ní Abu Sufyan ló máa ń ṣe agbátẹrù kó lead caravan wọ́n máa rìn irú ìrìn àjò yẹn. So nísìnyí ó dàbẹ́ ní pé àtàrà sọ pé Muhammad ó máa ń rin ìrìn àjò yẹn without escort. Kò normal fún wọn wípé kí Khadija nìkan ó kàn ní kí Muhammad máa lọ sí Sham. Wọ́n máa appoint
àgbọ́yìn mọ́ òun. Àbẹ́mi nìkan mi gbọ́ wọn mọ́ ni.
Ó difficult fún mi láti believe area yẹn wípé ó difficult láti believe fún mi láti believe wípé Muhammad ó ń lọ as far as Syria, Bethlehem àbí Jerusalem, Jordan all by himself. Nígbà tó jẹ́ pé Abu Sufyan àmọ́ pé òun ló máa ń lead caravan, everybody tó bá fẹ́ tajà tó bá fẹ́ rajà wọ́n máa wá as conglomerate ni, wọ́n máa wá as
Okay, I think argument here has to do with during Islamic reign. But pre-Islamic, the issue of Khadija and Muhammad as business partner happened in pre-Islamic time. So the man you are mentioning does not surface at all. So even if he's part of this story, it would be that he's also a caravan on his own, and that the Muhammad goes to Jerusalem. There's no evidence that he goes to Jerusalem to buy, because there's nothing to buy in Jerusalem. He going to Syria. Syria is different from what is it called? What is called Jerusalem. So it's different way. But towards Jordan down to Syria, the journey is actually possible, because Jordan today, if not because of how British segregated from to make sure that they divided into two, to have Transjordan, and we have what we call modern day Israel. Both of them were called Palestine. What we call Jordan today is Palestine one, and what we call Israel today is another Palestine. So we have two Palestine. So if not for that division, it's still called Arabia, because after Islam or during Islamic reign, they took over up those areas up to Medina, and took over and started reigning there. So for Muhammad to travel to Syria won't be a problem. And there is an evidence from Ibn Ishaq, I think so, that said that there are some Muhammad will not send him alone, but there will be some boys that will also follow him. So let me read that to you. He said, why she will pay him. Okay, I'm coming. He said he was to be accompanied by a lad of her called Masara. The messenger of Allah accepted the deal, and the two went out until they get to Syria. So definitely there is a boy also that also follows him, or a young person that follow him around. So he's not going on a single journey by himself. Others can also follow him. It doesn't mean, because Khadija does not have him as a business man. He already have business workers. Let me say workers that he used for business before Muhammad joined the movement. So there's a tendency that he doesn't go alone. The others will go with him. But that doesn't invalidate that Muhammad could actually did all right. And by the time we get to the main issue tomorrow, you'll be able to see that Muhammad actually read, right, and do some certain things. So that's just it.
Yeah, torí àkókò wa tó dá ṣe ẹ ṣeun ẹ kó atótó ẹ kó ohun látòórọ̀ o ọpọlọ yín ò ní jọba o.
Àmín.
Mo wá gbàládùra pé orí yín á péjọ alájọṣọmọlú lọ.
Àmín.
Ọpọlọ yín ò ní lọ. Wọn ò ní gbèrú yín látẹ̀yìn.
Àmín.
Ẹ ní ṣe títí kẹ lánàá bí ilẹ̀ fẹ́ tẹ̀lé lórúkọ Jésù.
Àmín.
Ìpín yín ò ní burú láyé o.
Àmín.
Torí orí eégún tó burú ló ń léwèrè kó fẹ́ gbowó ọdún. Orí yín ò ní burú lórúkọ Jésù o.
Àmín. So, Saheed Olasukanmi, you can join us tomorrow so you can learn. So don't stop being keyboard jihadists.
Ìmọ̀ràn yìí wá lọ sọ́dọ̀ àwọn Mùsùlùmí. Gbogbo yín tí wọ́n ti sọ fún yín pé ànábì ò mọ̀kọ kò mọ̀ọ́kà, ìwọ náà lè béèrè báyìí. Ṣé rí ètò tá à ń ṣe yìí? Àwa ń fẹ́ ru yín sókè láti máa béèrè ní yín tán ti gbélé yín bọ̀gẹ̀ yẹn. Kò sáyè bọ̀gẹ̀bọ̀gẹ̀ mọ́. Àfáà wa ti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀, bàbá sọ pé ò sí mọ́. We want you to ask question. Mo rí pé kíní ẹ̀ ti ń ṣiṣẹ́. Àwọn Mùsùlùmí náà ti ń béèrè. In fact, mo rí fídíò kan lọ́sàn-án tó ní ó wá ń ṣépè fáwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe. Ó lẹ́yìn òun tó ti parí project tipẹ́tipẹ́. Ẹ wá tún fọ́ọ̀sì òun kò lọ máa kàwé. At least we are forcing you to read. Oníṣẹ̀ṣe bá forcing láti read. Christian bá forcing láti read. That is lovely. Tẹ́ bá lè ka ìwé nípa ẹ̀sìn yín, yóò jẹ́ kí iye yín ṣí sílẹ̀. Kò ní jẹ́ pé n tá àfáà sọ lẹ́ẹ̀ máa tẹ̀lé. Kò ní jẹ́ pé tí pásítọ̀ sọ lá máa tẹ̀lé àbí olùdarí ẹ̀sìn. Àwa náà ó lè kà. Ẹ má jẹ́ kẹ́nikẹ́ni ó tàn wá jẹ ní tó àfáà sọ ni ànábì ò lè kà kò lè kọ. Wo ó ti mọ̀ lálẹ́ pé ó lè kà ó lè kọ. Àyẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mẹ́yẹ bọ̀ lápọ̀ ni o. Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Ẹ̀yin ará, ẹ jẹ́ ká máa gbàdúrà fún àwọn arákùnrin tọ́lọ́run lò. Ẹ máa gbàdúrà fún ètò yìí, ẹ máa gbàdúrà fún àwọn ọmọ Ọlọ́run. Ẹ gbàdúrà fún àwọn Mùsùlùmí tá a ní láyìíká. Kọ́lọ́run bá yé wọn pàdé. Ayọ̀ wa ni pé kí wọ́n mọ Jésù. Ẹ gbàdúrà fáwọn tí wọ́n ti ń gbọ́ ìwàásù wa lábẹ́lẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn. Ẹ gbàdúrà fún wọn kọ́lọ́run bá yé wọn pàdé pátápátá kí wọ́n jẹ́ ti Jésù. Ibi tí Jésù bá wà níbẹ̀ làlàáfíà máa ń wà o. Níbi tí Jésù bá wà tá a bá tẹ̀lé ọ̀rọ̀ Jésù kò lè sí wàhálà, kò lè sí gbọ́nmi sí omi òtó, kò lè sí làlúrí, kò lè sí àwọn àfààtó àti gbogbo wàhálà gbogbo. Èyí tá a ṣe fi Jésù lọ nìyẹn. Ìwọ tó bá jẹ́ Mùsùlùmí tó wá rò pé Ìsìláàmù lòtítọ́, tó rò pé Islam tí wọ́n ń ṣe yẹn òun lọ́nà, àwa ń pè ọ́ níjà. Ṣùgbọ́n àwa engagement wọ́n ń ṣe ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ ìbú ká máa ṣépè fúnra orí yín bu èmi ò ní interest inú ẹ̀. Mi ò ní interest inú ẹ̀jọ́. Mi ò ní interest inú engagement orí ẹ burú wèrè olòṣì olórí burúkú ogọ̀ àfẹ́. Àti Christian àti Muslim ìrọ́pọ̀ àfẹ́ kẹ́ borúkọ ẹnikẹ́ni jẹ́. Ẹni tán fẹ́ sun jẹ kò gbọdọ̀ tó máa fi po para. Ẹjọ́ torí tọ́lọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká máa kó àwọn wa níjàánu tá a bá ti engage àwọn Muslim. Nítòótọ́ nígbà mi ọ̀rọ̀ tán sọ lè máa rùn létí. Yá tòótọ́ ni mí náà nígbà tí yẹn bá ní spam ń jáde láyà obìnrin. Ṣé àwọn pẹ́ ní yẹ ká fọ́ létí ni? Tẹ́nìkan bá sọ pé òòrùn wọ̀ sínú omi gbígbóná, ṣé àwọn pẹ́ ní yẹ ká fún ní ìkó gbígbóná látẹ̀yìn? Tẹ́nìkan bá sọ pé ẹni tó bá kọ́ release òun lọmọ máa jọ. Àbí tó ní tí oúnjẹ bá jábọ́ lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ sáré mu kó fátẹ́gùn sí nǹkan kan tí ì ṣe. Tó bá lọ jábọ́ sí ibi tí kọ́lẹ́rà wà tí ẹ bá ẹnìyẹn àrùn onígbá méjì ló kó yẹn. Àbí ká sọ pé tó bá ti fẹ́ wọ tọ́ílẹ̀tì ẹsẹ̀ òsì ló gbúdọ̀ kọ́ gbé wọlé torí ṣàìtàn nínú tọ́ílẹ̀tì ló ń gbé. Àbí ká ní ká fomi ṣàìtàn ta ní ó wà spiritual omi láfi fọ̀ ọ́. Nífà máa ṣe program kan láìpẹ́ yìí. Fáwọn tó bá jẹ́ blogger máa fẹ́ kẹ́ join mi. Tẹ́ fẹ́ skit ẹ fẹ́ mọ skit tẹ́ máa ṣe fáwọn èèyàn tí ó pa àwọn èèyàn lẹ́rìn. Màá fún yín láwọn ìtàn yẹn. Ẹ má lè mi mo fún yín o. Ẹ ṣáà lọ máa lò ó. Màá fún yín láwọn ìtàn yẹn. Ẹ bá fẹ́ omi èṣù ẹni ẹ̀mí, Sátánì tó jẹ́ ẹni ẹ̀mí tí ì ṣe ẹni ara, ẹ wàá fomi ṣàn dànù. Ẹ rí mọ̀ pé kọ́mẹ́dì ayérayé nìyẹn. Àbí ká fún àpáta lábàrá láì ṣe iron finger. Ó sì fún àpáta lábàrá, àpáta sì ní àpá lára. Àbí ká wá láì ṣe Anthony Joshua tí wọ́n nà lánàá bá mi. Wọ́n fún ikú lẹ́sẹ̀ ojú ikú fọ́. Àbí Sulaimon tó kú sórí ìdúró fọ́dún almost a year. Àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ láwọn ìtàn oríṣiríṣi mẹ́rìírí. Ìgbà sáà rẹ̀ jẹ́ kí n mú tòun. Ariwo wá látọ̀dọ̀ yín.
Àwọn fàbú.
Fàbú o kó máa roll ó pọ̀ gan-an. so àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí àwọn ò gbé yẹ̀wò fún yín. Àwọn mùsùlùmí dẹ̀ rò pé kò sí nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ nú ẹ̀sìn wọn, o ò tí ì mọ̀ ni o, ó wà ń bẹ̀, Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Ẹ má gbàgbé December program wa níbi táwọn ti jáde wàásù àti wo bí tá a fẹ́ lò bí Ọ̀ṣun lálọ́ ni o, bóyá ìjẹun kí lorúkọ bíi mo ti ń rò ó nu méjèèjì, ọ̀kọ́ jẹ́ kí lorúkọ Badagry, mi tí mo bí tá a fẹ́ lò ń bẹ̀, ibi tá a ti ṣe ìwàásù fáwọn èèyàn, ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, àwọn èèyàn wà béèrè question, àwọn aláìní tó bá wà ládùúgbò bí opó bí ọmọ aláìní, Ọlọ́run bá ṣe fún wa ní nǹkan a máa ń rà á láti pín fáwọn tó bá wà ń bẹ̀. Program wa máa wáyé December, tọ́lọ́run bá mi ṣe láti dá sí, you can go ahead and contact us. Kámẹ́rà wa náà wà ń bẹ̀ àti níbi $600, a sì fẹ́ ra kámẹ́rà gidi, owó rẹ̀ sì pọ̀, tọ́lọ́run bá mi sí ọ, you can support us. Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́, ẹ máa gbàdúrà fún wa o. A ṣe ètò yìí nítorí ká lè kówó jọ o, a ṣe nítorí ká lè lówó lọ́wọ́, àwa náà fẹ́ lówó lọ́wọ́, àwọn èèyàn fún wa lówó lọ́wọ́, wọ́n bá fún wa lórí TikTok nísìnyí, wọ́n fún wa ní flower, kò sí ìyọnu, kì í ṣe nítorí owó la ṣe ṣe pé kán lè fún wa lówó ẹja go live rárá, kò ṣe nítorí ẹ o ẹ̀yin ará. Ìwọ tó bá jẹ́ àwọn náà fẹ́ lówó lọ́wọ́ ni, àwọn náà fẹ́ mo mọ nǹkan tí mo lè ṣe tí mo fi lè lówó lọ́wọ́, mo ti sọ lọ́sàn-án, ṣé kí n sọ fún yín léni ìbá tí máa fẹ́ ní mílíọ̀nù lákàntì mi, mo lè ṣe nísìn. Ààrẹ tí md ẹ wo mo ti rí ṣípayáwá yẹn àṣíráṣá ń tanra wa jẹ ni ọkàn mi ò balẹ̀, aláàní mo rí tó yọ sí mi lójú àlá ní máa kírun, máa lọ gbàgé máa kírun. Má jẹ́ ntàn láàrin 24 hours millions of naira will enter into my account. Tí mo ṣe tí mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí kírun, tí mo ṣe fídíò.
FSP aláwọ̀ lè yọ sí yín o, Muhammed ló máa yọ sí.
Mo kàn sọ ní pé.
Ẹ máa fi picture ẹ̀ hàn àwọn mùsùlùmí.
Nǹkan tí bàbá tó wà South Africa yẹn ṣe nìyẹn, tó bú sẹ́kún, wọ́n lọ Mẹ́kà, àgbọ̀n kankan mọ́ pa ẹ̀ ní ìsìn, ó ti gbá wọn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣe rí, so ọ̀nà láti lówó lọ́wọ́ kì í ṣe ní tá à ń ṣe. Ní ìwà fẹ́ lówó lọ́wọ́ pa nǹkan tá à ń ṣe tó àdúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run fún oore ọ̀fẹ́ àtàwọn ọmọ Ọlọ́run tọ́lọ́run rò láti ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Wo kì í ṣe iṣẹ́ tó rọrùn bí mo ṣe wà mo strong, ṣùgbọ́n àdúpẹ́ fọ́lọ́run pé àlàáfíà ti ń tayọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀. Wo máa gbàdúrà fún wa, má dákẹ́. Tí Islam bá fi lè dominate, tó bá ní ká dákẹ́, ìwọ tó ní kò kan wá, ẹ jẹ́ à ń wàásù Jésù, à ń wàásù kómìnira wà fún ẹni tó bá fẹ́ ṣe tó bá wùn. Níta lè fi hàn àwọn èèyàn ní beauty of Christ, ìpolongo Jésù, kì í ṣe pé ká fagídí mú yàn pé tó bá ti gba Jésù bí eré àwọn ó ti kan pa tó nílé ní wàá fàyè fún Jésù ní yakúnlẹ̀ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìnà rárá, títí yẹn fi kú mọ́ lọ́wọ́ rárá. Ìgbàlà ò wá láti bẹ̀yẹn, a sọ̀rọ̀ fún ẹni tó bá wù ẹ́ gbà, tó bá dẹ̀wọ̀n ẹ̀ wá ló gbà, kò sí jà ń bẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n tí Islam bá fi lè dominate, fàtúlùú ni o, orí rẹ ó di fẹ́wú lọ́rùn rẹ, ìyàwó rẹ ó di ìyàwó níyàwó nìyẹn. Ẹgbọ́n nǹkan tí dókítà sọ fún mi níjọ́ tí mo bí, ó ní ẹni tó bá ti jẹ́ ẹni tó kó lẹ́rú, tí Islam bá ti kó yín lẹ́rú, ẹ ń ṣèyàn mọ́, ẹ ti dẹrú, wọ́n lè bá ìyàwó yín sùn lójú yín, tẹ́sí máa wò ó, ẹ̀sìn lè ṣe nǹkan kan. Ṣẹ́sìn tá fẹ́ kí ó dominate ayé nìyẹn. Tó bá fi dominate gbogbo business tó níyẹn, wọ́n ó gbẹ́sẹ̀ lé ní. Ìyàwó tó fẹ́ tó ló fà yẹn tí ẹ bá ẹ nìyẹn, ò fáyín ó bá sọ̀rọ̀ wọn á bẹ orí èèyàn ni. Eléyìí là ń lépa pé kọ́lọ́ má jẹ́ kí ẹ̀sìn yìí kó dominate ibi tá a wà, eré tá à ń sá nìyẹn. Báwo la dẹ̀ ṣe fẹ́ ṣe ká sọ òtítọ́ nípa ẹ̀sìn yẹn fáwọn èèyàn, àwọn mọ̀lẹ́bí wa, àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa, nǹkan tí wọ́n ọ̀nà tá a lè gbà ṣeré, a lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípa question. Àwọn Muslim náà máa ń lo style yẹn, wọ́n á kàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ question ni, ta ẹ̀chẹ́ mọ̀ nípa Jésù, kí ni Jésù jẹ́ náà? Ìwọ náà lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú question. Bọ̀dá mi, mo máa ní ìbéèrè kan fún yín, mo gbọ́ tí pásítọ̀ kan brother kan sọ lórí net, in fact nọ́mbà brother yẹn wà lọ́wọ́ mi, mo lè pè ká ìjọba sọ̀rọ̀. Ó ní Muhammed kì í ṣe wòlíì Ọlọ́run, ó ní ó fẹ́ ọmọ ọdún 6, ṣé ìtọ́ lànà bí fẹ́ ọmọ ọdún 6 nù? Ẹ bá ń ṣàlàyé ibi tó bá ti ń ká lòlò, ẹ̀yin náà ti rí pé kíní yìí ò ṣẹnu re. So ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ òtítọ́ fún àní ká lọ máa bú àwọn èèyàn, kọ́ wa ní nǹkan láti máa lọ fi ṣàwàdà létí àwọn èèyàn. Ànábì yín wèrè wo, ànábì olórí burúkú rárá, níta ní ká ṣe kọ́ nìyẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká pe àwọn èèyàn jáde kúrò nínú ẹ̀sìn yìí nínú ìfẹ́, pẹ̀lú ọgbọ́n, pẹ̀lú ìwà tútù, pẹ̀lú ìwà pẹ̀lẹ́, láì bu ẹnikẹ́ni, láì ṣe kéèbú, láì fi ẹnikẹ́ni ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́. Ẹni tẹ́ bá fi ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ ó lè má kó nínú ẹ̀sìn yẹn o, á ní fi mílẹ̀, ìwọ kọ́ lọ́lọ́run. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká fi ẹnikẹ́ni ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́, Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Kò rọrùn láti máa gbọ́ àwọn ìtàn apanilẹ́rìn tí Islam mú wá, pé ní ọ̀run wàá sùn sínú bedroom láti Syria dé Iraq. Irú bedroom burúkú ò nìyẹn, kí ló fẹ́ máa ṣe ń bẹ̀ níwọ̀ nìkan? Ṣẹ́rùgùn ò ní bá ọ. Wà wá ní nǹkan ọmọkùnrin tí ò ní rọ̀mọ́ láíláí, ikú dé nìyẹn, wà tún kú lẹ́lẹ́kejì lọ́run. Nígbà tí nǹkan ọmọkùnrin bá ranjú tí ò rọ̀ wálẹ̀, èèyàn fẹ́ kú nìyẹn, iṣan máa já ni. So wo àbáwọn obìnrin tán náà máa jábàálé wọn lójoojúmọ́, àbálẹ́ á máa padà, kò sì ní wọ́n lára. Wọ́n láwọn obìnrin tó wà ní paradise wọn kì í tutọ́, wọn kì í yàgbẹ́ wọn kì í làágùn in fact ìtọ́ ẹnu wọn máa ń rùn bí òórùn dídùn ni ní paradise Allah a wà máa rí ẹ̀jẹ̀ bó ṣe ń flow nínú egungun wọn níjọba láyé Allah ló wò fẹ́ ká ṣàgbèrè kò fẹ́ kán ṣàgbèrè inú mọ́ṣáláṣí ẹni tó bá ṣàgbèrè inú mọ́ṣáláṣí wọn á ní kán lọ pa ṣùgbọ́n níwájú Allah ò máa wo blue film directly láì sanwó àtàwọn áńgẹ́lì can you imagine ṣáwọn nǹkan tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbàgbọ́ nìyẹn ìwọ náà ronú sí dáadáa Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́ àwa wà lórí TikTok o a fẹ́ parí lórí Facebook àti YouTube àwa àṣìwà ń bí tó bá jẹ́ Muslim yes sir.
Fati ẹjọ́ máa ń ṣàkárá ẹ bá gbé wá kó wá fún wa testimony ẹ bóyá convert for Christian.
Àrí wọn tá a bá rí wọn tá a bá tún rí wọn lọ́jọ́ wá jẹ́ ìwà mi ní mi.
Mo rò pé fọ́ọ̀lù wọn lọ́sọ̀ ẹ̀ ni.
Mi ò dàgbé private ní kíni wọn wà mo fẹ́ tẹ̀lé láti fọ́ọ̀lù wọn bọ̀ kò ṣe. So
testimony máa yẹ papa fún gan.
Yes sir, God bless you. A sì máa wà TikTok. Bra Paul ọ̀rẹ́ Bra Paul nìyẹn Bra Paul ẹ gbọ́ wọ́n ní kẹ́ bá invite àbòsù wa.
Wọ́n ṣe program lọ́wọ́ wọ́n ṣe àwọn gàfà wọn.
Ẹ má wọrí a máa parí níbí Bra Samad Bra TMD God bless you gbogbo àtàwà ní love my religion God bless Alhaji FSP ìpín mi kọ o àlejò ní mí náà láyé náà àlejò lájẹ́ láyé Alhaji túmọ̀ Alhaji ní àlejò ìwọ tó ti mọ̀ ó lọ ṣe àlejò nílùú tún dé Nàìjíríà ó tún pé àlejò tún jálejò ṣó sì yẹ kó o jálejò ń lu bàbá rẹ̀ ọwọ́ rẹ ló wà o lè yan nǹkan tó bá wùn ẹ́ láti ṣe ìpàdé wa wà ní TikTok you can join us @Fati_Kodoro a sì wà ń bẹ̀ fún àwọn ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ àbára àwọn Muslim ẹ mọ̀ pé tèmi ń bá fò gbogbo tẹ́ bá rí kẹ́ sọ èmi wà pẹ̀lú Kùránì oríṣiríṣi lèmi dúró lé lórí o ní èmi o ẹ tó bá fẹ́ sọ nǹkan mi bọ̀ èmi àní Kùránì oríṣiríṣi èmi fẹ́ tú yẹbẹyẹbẹ fáwọn èèyàn kó yé wọn kí n máa gbọ́ káwọn afá máa ṣe wá sí pé ẹ̀yin ọmọ yá mi inú ẹ̀sìn Islam òtítọ́ ti dé Kùránì kankan ló wà báyìí a ti mọ̀ pé àwọn àmì orí wọn yàtọ̀ Allahu Akbar ó ti yóò sì yé wa bẹ́ẹ̀ pé àmì orí wọn yàtọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ìtumọ̀ kan náà ni èmi àtiwọ́ bálàjítù ó yà wá lẹ́nu papọ̀ ni ẹ máa sọ fáwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ká máa tú àwọn èèyàn jẹ Kùránì ò yàtọ̀ àmì in fact nọ́mbà rẹ̀ ò yàtọ̀ ẹ̀tàn jẹ ní o má bá wọn sọ ọmọ tó bá ti sọ́ọ́rí gbá ẹnu ẹlẹ́mẹ̀ta pópópó ní polúwa astagafurulai ẹni astagafurulai èjì astagafurulai kò ṣe lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́wàá kó tó sùn kó ronúpìwàdà kó nú ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn Ọlọ́run yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́ pàdé wá tún di ọ̀la lágbára Ọlọ́run God bless you àwọn TikTok àti ìlọ mi tẹ gbóhùn Bra Paul alẹ́
sápọn láti fi ara rẹ̀ hàn níwájú òṣìṣẹ́ tí kò ní láti tijú tí ó ń pín ọ̀rọ̀ òtítọ́ bí ó ti yẹ ìkànnì Fati Òkodoro ní